thank you, Sheena, for the privilege of asking me to share some of my life. I'm very honored to do that. I was born in a little village called Kayville, about 75 miles from Regina, south, near the border of the state border, not too far. I was born in 1933. We had 11 children in our family. Six girls, 5 boys, and as we grew up, and the first 4 went off to work, and so the last 4 were busy doing whatever needed to be done for Mom and Dad. Well, my dad owned a livery stable. You know what that is, where they keep horses? And
what people brought their horses there?
The farmers would bring the horses.
Yeah.
And would just keep them there for 2-3 hours to get their mail and their groceries and stuff. And so we got money from that, as well as
he did other deliveries and things, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a dray man also, so he's a hard-working man.
Yeah.
He did everything that he could over there, you know,
he looked after his
days
family.
to take care of us family.
Yeah.
And he was a good provider, very good. He never sloughed off. Of course, my mom helped with the money, hiding it or whatever sometimes. And
did you do any work for your dad?
Hey?
Did you work for your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he owned this dray man. He hauled the wood and the coal and the groceries, mail from the post office, from the stores to different areas. So he was always busy doing things. But we always had food. We always had clothing. We never lacked for anything. And when my 5 brothers, the others had left off for work, and I was the one there that I had to drive the tractor to help maintain the roads in our little community.
How old were you when you were doing that?
I was 11.
11, and you were driving a tractor.
And I was driving the tractor.
Clearing the roads.
Yeah,
Well,
maintaining the highway and anyway, and nobody wanted to do it, so I said, okay, I'll do it. So I did, and there I was. And so as it goes, we in our time, we never pursued. My mom and dad never pursued a
university or education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's they felt bad, I'm sure, but they didn't have that kind of money to send us out. So when it was time for me to go, and I was 16, and I found a job in Regina, and so I was working in a hospital, in the dishwashing area. Then I was graduated to filing films in the film room for the doctors there. They would call for certain kind of films, and I would look them up and dig them up and get them ready for the doctors when they came. Oh, my dad's name was George, and my mom's name was Rose.
What was her maiden name?
Bondarescu.
Bondarescu.
Yeah.
And your grandfather was he came from Romania?
Yes.
Do you remember the town that he came from?
It's sort of a. I can't pronounce it.
Okay. So he came to Canada with your dad, George, when George was how old? About 15?
I don't know that part.
You don't
I'm not sure of that part.
He was a teenager or
But
some
he
sort.
was, yeah.
And
And all the Romanians came at one time to this little village of Kayville.
of Kayville.
And they all settled over there and married and
Yeah.
and whatever. And so.
And George's family came as well, right?
I don't know when his family came. I don't remember too much of George's family.
But George was born in Canada.
But he was born in Canada.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He was not supposed to be born, but they had him. They said. But he
Well,
was
there
a
you go.
blessing. He was
Yeah.
a blessing.
For sure.
Yeah. And so.
Can I ask what kind of school you went to?
Yeah, we went to one teacher with all the grades there.
And
yeah.
how many kids would be in the class?
There must have been in the whole room,
Yeah.
there must have been about 17.
And that would be all the grades for
Yeah.
one teacher
Yeah.
to look after.
For one teacher. to
One
look at.
brave teacher.
That's right, yeah.
So once you were finished school, you finished school when you were 15 or 16?
Yeah, I was, yeah. Well, what happened was I took my grade 11,
Mm-hmm.
but I failed it.
Okay.
So it didn't help anything there at all. So I decided to go
To go
To
to
work
work at that
in
time.
Regina. Yeah, at that time. So
And that's good. And
Yeah.
was your mother worried about you going to Regina?
no, she wasn't. No,
She
everybody did their time.
Yeah.
It's time now for you.
now to go.
And
And
just-
you had a sister there already, right?
Yes.
Which
yeah.
sister was there that you
Eva was there.
Eva.
She had gone there ahead.
Yeah.
Even though she was younger, she got a job
got
there, and
Ah.
so that was
Spunky.
really helped us. We found us. She had found us one room for us.
So what was the room like?
A big room,
A big
a
room?
bathroom down the hall.
Okay. And there
So-
were a few people in the same house?
Oh yeah, it was a three level,
Okay.
a big thing,
Mhm.
and then some sisters lived on the very top.
And did you get a job right away?
Yeah, oh yeah, I
That's
sure did.
great.
At the hospital, yeah.
Yeah.
That was easy to get.
Yeah.
I don't, no problem finding work.
That's good.
So.
Yeah.
So I worked there, like I said, in the X-ray department,
And compared to all the work that you were doing at home, it was pretty easy, I guess.
yeah, very, very,
Yeah.
because I didn't like the first, when the older ones had left,
Yeah.
my turn to wash the floor.
Yeah.
I told you about
Yeah.
that. And I sure didn't like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to.
You
I was
had to
crying.
get right down and scrub.
Why was I crying? I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess I must have been humiliated or what.
Oh,
I don't know.
You were washing the floor with your tears.
Right, and so I'll tell you, it was a good thing, because I had the job of cleaning the house,
Yeah.
and I would shine the floors.
Yeah.
They were just glass.
Wow.
I was so good at cleaning up because I learned that after all these years.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you just learn and you clean up.
And a good work ethic to do go along
Yeah,
with it. You
Mom
know?
really was good for
Yeah.
that. And then Eva she helped Mom in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And Irene, I don't know what she did. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But she did whatever, but I think she
But
left
everybody was busy.
She left earlier too. She
Yeah.
went to Belcaris at town.
And you were the second to last baby?
Yeah,
So Eva was your younger one.
baby, yeah.
She was the baby.
Baby.
She was number 11. You were number 10.
Yeah.
That's a lot of kids.
I think she must have been sick with me because I was such a brat. I would climb up on the table to reach the light, and they'd have to grab me, and I was very, very naughty.
Oh dear.
I was very naughty.
And
Anyway.
when you were in school, you got your eye on George, I think.
Well, when I went to school, let's see, And at the first, no, I didn't see him.
Mhm.
I didn't know, because they were busy with sports,
Yeah.
and, you know, everybody did their own
And
thing.
you did sports too, right? You were doing
Yeah,
baseball?
I played ball, oh yeah.
And you were pitcher?
I was a pitcher, and a good pitcher.
Yeah, until you hurt your arm or something? Yeah.
Yeah, I ruined my arm. Somebody
Oh.
tried to make me throw it too hard.
Oh.
To this day, I cannot do it.
Wow.
To this day, and I thought,
Yeah.
oh, if I ever see him and have Tony, I'll tell him, what did you do to me there? Ruined my arm. I
And-
could have been a good pitcher.
And George was playing baseball as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, with their group, you know.
With their group? So separate?
We're the ladies.
He was a year older than you as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 year. Yeah, he was a year older. I said we were brought up in the Orthodox religion,
Mhm.
and in this religion, you can't know for sure if you're going to go to heaven. Who knows?
Oh no.
You do the best you can. You be good. You do good, and do the best. And that bothered me because, I mean, how would we know if we're going to get to heaven if we don't know how to get there?
Well, yeah, it's a
You know.
conundrum.
How? And so that bothered me, you know. So I pursued that for a long time. And so what else did I say? Sorry.
Did your family go to church?
Yes, we had an Orthodox church there.
So, and
Yeah.
you went every Sunday or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then and then there was a time when we had walked 2 miles to a Russian church,
Oh,
and my dad took us, and we liked going.
well,
We liked going, and I used to sing in the choir
really?
with and they could hear my voice, and they said, "Whose voice is that?"
Because you can play guitar too, can't you?
Oh, that was
You learned to play later on?
that
or-
was when George had finished ministering,
Ah,
and
okay.
we went to Kayville and talked, and he preached in the Lutheran church,
Oh, okay. And you played
and
guitar
the people liked him there.
Yeah.
They wanted him to stay there.
I think the people liked him everywhere.
Yeah, because he was so friendly.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we never fought at home, ever.
Ever. Wow.
We, with all of our kids, we were,
Even the boys?
yeah, oh no,
Really?
Sam
Yeah.
he was so plastic. Lee, like I said, he had his own life there in Kayville.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and dad didn't like what he did, but like he was a bootlegger.
Oh my goodness. In your family.
He sold
Alcohol.
alcohol
Yeah.
on the side,
Oh my.
but he was so aggressive, and he wanted everything his way and his time, and everything had to be. Oh, we never associated. He bought this car, and we had to be very careful not to dirty it,
Oh yeah.
touch it. Everything
His
had
pride
to be.
and joy.
You know, you heard of that before.
Yeah. So how many nieces and nephews have you got? Like all your sisters and brothers must have had kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah. And they all live mainly in the prairies?
Oh, they all moved away. No, nobody lived there.
Huh.
They all moved away to Calgary, Vancouver, and different areas.
Different areas.
My brothers and sisters, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
And
There you
Percy, he moved to Alberta, and he ran a hotel where there's drinks and that.
Oh yeah.
He died young. Like, he didn't toe the line with Dad
Okay. So
like the other ones
who was
did.
the oldest? The firstborn.
Anne,
Anne was the
Yeah.
firstborn?
she
Yeah.
was the first one. Yeah,
And she, you got your photo there?
yeah. There's Anne,
you want to pick that photo up just so we can take a look at it?
There's Anne there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was George. See, I had lots of Georges in my life.
Yeah.
And George, and then Con,
Mm-hmm.
and then Percy, which he was no more. Like in the family,
He's gone.
he went to Alberta and ran this hotel,
Mm-hmm.
beer parlor, whatever. And he had some lovely kids. He had some really lovely children. That would be my nieces and nephews, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was Con, that was Percy. And then there was Lee. Lee and then Sam.
Oh, what a family.
Now, there's a sister Mary's not on here. She's not in here. She didn't want to associate with it.
Oh.
She's in that picture there. She didn't
Oh,
want
yeah.
to.
Yeah, that's such a great picture.
It was that type. You know,
Yeah.
she,
She looked
and there
like
was
fun.
Elaine. Elaine
Yeah.
was after Dawn gone, and she'd come home from wherever she worked and come and help Mom. And there's Eva.
Mm-hmm.
She'll help Mom with all of us kids. And there's me, my brattish Florence, with her coat on. With her coat
With your
on.
coat. And why did you have your coat on?
Why did I have it on? I have to ask Eva again.
Yeah.
I'll ask her and see if she remembers. And there's Irene. She left earlier. She went to Belcaris, and she married this guy in Belcaris.
Mm-hmm.
Same year as George and I, and
really?
they're in Regina living together all these years.
All these years later. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that was so nice.
Here you go.
And there's Lee, the one that's a bootlegger.
The bootleg boy. I want to know when did you meet George
Okay.
in Regina?
Okay. Then we went to school together.
Yes.
And there's a point in our school that I really saw him.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen him,
Was that on the baseball field or something?
I don't remember what it was, but it seemed like...
It was like, that's my guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
And he came over to my house.
Huh.
He came over,
Yeah.
and I just shone his beautiful floor.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to see
He's
my
gonna
nice
see
queen.
Forget
it.
What he'll think.
Forget
Okay,
They're not
that's the girl
interested.
for me, because she can shine a floor.
No, he not interested in
Not interested.
No. And so he came over and he wanted to have a date with me.
Uh-huh.
That we should date.
Yeah.
So there was a movie on that night.
Yeah.
In the hall, so we planned for that. Anyway, I saw him at school. Just really saw him.
Yeah.
And I really wanted him. Oh, if something ever happened and he wants to go with somebody else, what am I going to do?
So George was in Regina studying accounting. Right?
Yeah.
When you got to Regina,
he was an accountant, right?
Yeah. So he was studying accounting, or
No, he was
already
just
working?
taking this normal accounting class.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he got a job as an accountant.
Oh yeah. Did he ever? He was in all kind of construction areas, and he was very good at it. Very good.
So then you, so after you got to Regina, you were dating, and how long did it take before you decided to get married?
Not too long after that. Not too long after that. Let me think here. I worked. Oh, I worked and I had that little rooming house, and there's him coming to visit me with his head. That's him.
That's it.
That's in our rooming house.
Oh, here.
That one.
Can you hold that picture up?
See,
Just point to.
there's the rooming house. He came in to visit me. And there he is again. We're standing in front of the house that we.
That is such a cute picture.
Yeah. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
And this is we're on a bridge or whatever. I forget.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a nice one. And so there we are.
Yeah.
Then we got married. Did I tell you that?
Yeah. You got married. Whereabouts were you married?
We're married in our little village.
In Kayville.
Yeah.
And who was there at the wedding?
Who was there?
Like all your family? Or,
Well, I don't know why I should have brought the pictures out. But I won't do that.
It wasn't a big wedding though, right?
Oh yes.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
We collected a lot of money, I told you.
Oh yeah.
I collected a lot of money.
And
And
you
they would go around from one couple to the next to the next, and then they would have a big speech about, oh yeah, he's rich farmer or whatever. He should be giving
Cough
about
up the big bucks.
da, da,
Yeah.
da. And so there we
So
are.
you managed to save a lot of money from that.
Oh yeah,
And-
and then George and I rented in the same place that Eva was in.
Oh, okay.
So we got another room with a kitchenette for George and I.
Oh, nice.
And then Eva was in this other room. And that worked so good.
Yeah.
It was just so wonderful.
And George got along well with Eva.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they got along really good. Eva was she liked him. He says, he's so nice.
Ah.
He sure is handsome.
Yeah.
Everybody saw that. I guess I did too.
I think you might have.
Yeah, I must have. So George was working for this construction company as an accountant, and he gave him a good deal on this brand new house.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Brand new house.
Brand new house.
And
he was like 23 or 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, if I had those pictures, that would have been nice to show them. No, it doesn't matter.
So
Too much stuff.
you've got a lot of stuff. You got a lot of life. So then you were living in that house, and it was 5 years after you were married before you had your first baby.
Yeah.
Your first baby was Kim.
It was Kim. Yeah, and he came along. And,
That must have been exciting.
Yeah, that was good because we didn't want to have children too quick because we wanted to have money, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, along comes this Kimmy.
Yeah.
And we lived in the neighborhood, you know, of all these new houses.
Yeah.
And across the road was this lovely people that had called a Good News Club.
Huh?
And they asked if Kim could come and join the Good News Club. Oh, sure. What nice people.
Yeah.
Nothing could go wrong with such to let your child go across the street at 5 years old.
At 5 years old,
You know,
to the Good News.
to the
And
Good
everything
News.
was okay there?
Oh yeah,
So
really good. He would come home with Bible verses.
Ah.
I told you that.
Yeah.
And I'd repeat him, and he would say them. He would say them and go back, and then he'd come to next time. He would come with new Bible verses, and he'd learn those.
So
I don't
you
know.
were learning the Bible verses with him
And God was working in my heart because
through him.
I needed the Lord, and I didn't know, but God knows. He's so wonderful. Anyway, so then after that,
You had Kelly.
of course, we had those other two,
You had Kelly and
Kelly and
Kirby.
Kelly was such a beautiful baby.
Yeah.
And I was not a good mother.
How were you not a good mother?
I would, like with Kirby, I let him cry. Why did I let him cry? Why didn't I go and pick him up and hug him and I think the neighbors could hear him crying. And I was so And I feel like even to this day I'm making up to that
Aw.
for Kirby.
He didn't come with instructions, you know.
No, you're right. You're right. I don't know what was the matter with me, but I was just, didn't know the Lord, and I didn't know how to handle things. Anyway, so anyway, there's our family, and along comes Herb.
Herb, yeah.
Along comes Herb. He comes and comes to the office where George is, and he was living in Edmonton and he came to know the Lord under Premier Manning's ministry. I don't know if you know Premier Manning.
Yep.
Of Alberta.
Yep.
and he would come and visit George, and he was as bold as ever. He'd bring his Bible, and poof, open it up, and George, I want to tell you, and he went on, and George said, yeah, Herb, just a big blow, that's all.
Yeah.
He just didn't,
He wasn't interested.
No, he wasn't. Yeah. And they would quarrel about religion,
Yeah.
Christianity,
Yeah.
back and forth. I don't know when they had the time with working and all that, doing all that. But anyway, Herb one night phoned me and said, Florence, how are you? And of course, by then, I was really hungering for the Lord, and I didn't know what it was. I started to cry, and I said, Herb, I don't know what's the matter with me. And I started to cry, and I says, something's the matter. And he says, I know what the matter is. You just go into your bedroom, kneel down in your bed, by your bed, ask Jesus Christ to come into your heart and life and be your Savior from sin. You have sin in your heart, and He wants to cleanse that all and wash you from all that. And I did that, and when I did that, the load I'd been carrying for a long time, that was a long time.
Yeah.
I had fears and years ago, and it just rolled, everything just rolled all off of me. It was such an experience I had with the Lord. So George, he saw a real change in me. I told you that. Saw a real change in me, and that changed so that he just didn't want to even have sex with me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a big change.
That's a big change, yeah. And so I just let things fly, go as whatever. And we were over at this Christmas party at, I don't know whose place it was. But anyway, his friends were in the construction, and they were drinkers. And so...
George wasn't a drinker, though, was he?
No. They did a skit.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody just roared laughing, and George was very embarrassed because he knew that I didn't laugh.
Yeah.
And I was not mad at anything. I was just so filled with this love of the Lord. Nothing touched that.
Yeah.
And so he could sense that there was something's not right here, you know.
Yeah. But he could see that you were cool.
Yeah. But there was a change in me, and so.
But he decided to go to a
So
Bible
then,
school.
yeah, George, his friend was very instigated in his,
Got him involved.
yeah, get involved.
So you had to move for him to go to the school.
Yeah.
And where did you move to?
We moved to Pembroke, near Swift Current.
Okay.
Have you heard of Swift Current?
I've heard of Swift Current.
Yeah, we moved there, and then we were there for 3 years.
Yeah.
And during the 3 years, like there was a space in the summer, we would come. We had rented our house, while we
you
were
rented
gone.
out the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And some of the ladies made a mess, cracked a lot of my glass things,
Oh,
because I left all that. Anyway, it turned out okay. So we were happy with that. So we finally sold it, and so then they told us that they found a field for us in BC.
In BC.
Oh.
You got to BC.
Oh.
So you went on a mission to Bowser.
And I cried, and because I didn't want to leave my mom and dad. I mean, we're still associated with mom and dad,
Yeah.
you know.
Especially to a place named Bowser.
Yeah, right. And so they got us all set up, and I wasn't happy with moving.
Yeah.
But I went because I could see he wants that. He wanted that.
That's what he wanted.
That ministry. So that was
at that time, Kim was how old? He was like 13.
Let's see. He was by the time we were in the Bible school for 3 years.
Yeah.
He was finished after the 3 years. You know, we were in Bible school 3 years. So Kim was 13 when we finished the 3 years there.
Okay.
So now we're moving to
Bowser.
yeah, and he's going on 14 now.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so
the all 3 kids then they were.
we all packed up and went. Yeah.
So you're 14, 12, and 10. 10
Yeah,
So Kirby
yeah.
would have been 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big move for all
Yeah.
of you.
Oh, it was.
And
sure.
George was at the Wildwood Church.
And
Yeah.
Wildwood.
And he coached baseball.
He went to preach there, and then he saw. He had a real. People were coming to the service.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful. He did so well. They really liked
So he
him.
really fired up the church.
And then, of course, he met up with a lot of these young kids
Mhm.
in the area, and because he liked baseball, he said, let's start I forget how it all went, because he was so busy with that, you know.
Yeah.
He was busy with that, and I was busy with myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was so wonderful. It was a good experience for me.
So you had a good time once you settled in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I settled in and smartened up a little.
Yeah. And there were good people here.
In Bowser.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Met
They were very good. Yeah. We're very, very thankful for the way things went there. Now George, of course, he you know, there was areas that I said to the Lord, if that's okay, the way you want him to be so friendly and so, he was so, if that's okay with you, Lord, it's okay with me. So, and that's true, I really committed George to, and then we're standing here, and all of a sudden George turned around and he says, I'm going to have a shower, and he lost his balance, hit his head his back against that, and his head didn't hurt him that bad.
So can you tell us about the boys' life? When they were here in Bowser, they were teenagers.
Yes.
And what did they get up to?
What did they
do? Did they played baseball?
Yeah.
They were in a band?
Kim was in the band, and Kirby.
And Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah.
But not
Kirby?
Not Kirby, and I think he felt left out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But what are you going to do?
And I think they rode motorcycles around.
Yeah, Kim did that. He liked that, and Kelly did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they
had
played a lot of baseball
played a lot of
with
baseball.
George coaching.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Right.
So then you had a very sad event in your life where Kelly was in an accident
Yes.
and died.
Right.
And after that, it must have been really hard to be here. So you moved to Gabriola Island.
That's right. George. The mission thought it's best that he moved away because he would always remember that area,
Yeah.
and that bothered him so much.
Yeah.
So we moved to Gabriola for 20 years.
For 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he ministered there
Yeah.
and helped with a big building. First of all we went and moved into this house. It was a 2-story big house,
Yeah.
and the bottom was room for a church.
Yeah.
The bottom part that people just walked in and then we lived upstairs.
Hmm.
And so often George would tease and say, I just rolled down out of bed and to the pulpit. And so we were there in this little, not little, big house in the corner. I know maybe it's still there, I don't know. But we were there, and then we went to, it's called Aggie Hall, just a Quonset building where George preached there too.
Okay.
So, we were there 20 years, so he preached there too, and then they wanted a new building for the big Gabriola Fellowship Church.
Yeah.
So he was involved in that, and he would still preach while building the church.
And then at some point you decided to move back to Bowser.
Yeah, yeah, right. We did well about it in Gabriola. We bought this house from this guy, and then we sold it and did really well there.
No, that's
So
good.
when we decided to move, George liked Gabriola.
Mm-hmm.
He would have liked to stay.
Yeah.
But I says, oh, George, I want to go back to Bowser. He was so considerate, wasn't he?
Yeah.
By letting me come. Have my
You come
way.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd have been cranky either way.
But I think George had a good life here. He was golfing a lot.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And he had some good friends.
Oh, very, yeah.
And he was still preaching at Union Bay. Was
Yeah,
it?
Union Bay and near Duncan, there's what's the name of the place there? We used to go there
Mm-hmm.
about 9 Sundays in a row,
Wow.
and we'd preach there.
Yeah.
And because they called them, and Union Bay and forget where else.
Mm.
Of course, here at our church.
Yeah.
And
And you moved to this house in Duns Park here, right? Like when you moved from Gabriola, did you move straight into this house?
yes, we had to find a place to live, but we couldn't.
Yeah.
Couldn't find anything. We go back and forth on the ferry to look for a place to
Yeah.
live. So finally, we decided. I've always wanted to live in a trailer.
Yeah. Well, and here you
You
are.
know, here I
And
am.
it's so comfortable, and
Sure
it's such a
it
nice
is.
place here.
Quiet
Yeah,
and-
quiet and comfortable, and
And so
you're cozy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I said, George, let's buy a trailer and let's go over to Dunn's Trailer Park. Because we knew about this area 20 years later. You go.
Yeah. Wow.
And so let's see if they've got a space. Okay, we go over to Dunn's and talk to them.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, there's a place.
You're lucky number 7.
Yeah, and they're going to move away from there.
Oh.
And it
great.
was double wide.
Yeah.
You could see where they had the double wide,
Yeah.
and they moved,
They moved.
and
That's
it was
you
just
moved right in.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
And so the guys that, we bought the trailer on the other side of Nanaimo.
Yeah.
And so they said, well, you pack whatever you want, and we'll bring it over to Nanaimo.
Yeah.
And so we got a truckload of like glass mirrors and lamps, and you just laid them on the floor there in the trailer.
And they just brought the whole thing.
And
here.
not the whole thing, but our people from Gabriola had a truck, and they brought the rest of the
that's
furniture.
wonderful. Yeah.
So it worked out really good. The Lord is so good.
Yeah.
God is so good. I don't know what else. There's nothing more to say. God is good, and He'll direct my paths. He'll direct my paths, and I'm glad about that. As you travel down a dusty road to a small Saskatchewan town, there's a house with 4 rooms and Grandpa next door. The security was so warm. Why, with all of us children, it must have been hard, but they did the best that they knew. They'd line us up to say the Lord's Prayer, and I'm so glad they did. That's where you come in with the mouth organ. Inside, you'll find Rose and George offering coffee and donuts and words of wisdom too. Their friends stop by to chat with Rose and George in that cozy little kitchen in that small Saskatchewan town.